smile at those words because I have lived in a lot of states, and they all say the same thing. Welcome to insert your state here. I've heard welcome to New York, welcome to Colorado, welcome to Nebraska, Florida, Texas, and definitely welcome to Missouri. It's like an ongoing friendly competition over which state is the most moody. Puts me in mind of a popular meme on Facebook that goes on and on, gushing about how gorgeous Wisconsin is in the summer. And then the final line is, gosh, I hope summer lands on a weekend this year. Or how about those mosquitoes? They're big as birds in Wisconsin. In fact, the mosquito is the state bird of Wisconsin. This claim is actually not too far off the mark. I've been chewed to pieces many times by Wisconsin mosquitoes. And the funny thing is, if the mosquito is not the official state bird, I don't know what is. All I've ever heard is it's the mosquito. No matter where you live, weather and nature can be unpredictable, temperamental, destructive even, and darn near everything we do is dependent on nature. I remember when we were hunkering down during the polar vortex this past winter, and friends in Australia were complaining because the temperature was over 120 degrees. And all I could think was that we were actually the lucky ones. Even at 55 degrees below zero, we were the lucky ones. Every single plan we make, every single thing we do depends upon nature. And we cannot control nature. Bad weather happens. Tornadoes, hurricanes, tsunamis, droughts, all these things happen. Nature commands our respect. Not just here in Wisconsin, but everywhere in the world, nature commands our respect. It can destroy us in an instant, but at the same time, we rely on its cooperation for our very existence. In fact, we are utterly dependent on nature to provide for us the exact right mix of elements, such as the temperature, levels of oxygen, the availability of fresh water, and the existence of other species like bees and trees and edible plants. Nature provides for us an entire ecosystem that we cannot exist without. A habitat for humanity that is fine-tuned to just the right amount of everything that we need to survive. Nature controls it all. We do not control nature. Which brings to mind the psalmist as he says, "Be still and know that I am God." But what the psalmist does not mention is that we are most certainly capable of destroying our own habitat for humanity. And it just absolutely astonishes me that despite all of our knowledge and science and technology, that is exactly what we are doing. We are destroying our own ecosystem, which means we are destroying ourselves. We know that. All of us, we know it. We are destroying ourselves. In fact, as I was contemplating what to say today, I realized there's really not anything more I can say about the destruction of our environment that you don't already know. We've been talking about it for years, and I know that you know what's going on. I know that you are all just as concerned about it as I am, and that you are all doing everything you can to protect and preserve our environment. There's simply nothing new to add to the discussion. Yet here we are, watching helplessly as the news gets worse. Here we are wondering if humanity, or when humanity, is going to ultimately destroy itself. And I don't have any answers for you. I don't have any recommendations or reassurances that it will all work out in the end. Because if things don't change, it will not work out. That's a fact. If humans cannot come together and commit serious changes, our species is going to destroy itself. And let's face it, it really doesn't look very good, or as though all humans will be coming together anytime soon, let alone all of us committing to the same cause. Not without some sort of a collective change of heart. Because we are in a serious state of hardened hearts right now, and maybe we always have been. In the Old Testament, it talks all the time about how the people hardened their hearts and how that led to their own ruin and despair. And we think, well, they hardened their hearts. They didn't obey God, so they got what they deserved, which is the lesson that is implied in the Bible. But what we don't seem to get is that this is our reality too. Actually, I don't think that the collective heart has ever been softened. In fact, I'm pretty sure history will confirm that. So perhaps this explains why we are teetering on the brink of extinction. Perhaps human extinction was a wheel set in motion a long time ago in our ancient past, all because of hardened hearts. Kind of makes one wonder, doesn't it? If the church is even helpful to the discussion anymore. Clearly, there are many people who don't find the church to be very helpful at all, not for any reason. I meet people all the time who claim that the earth is their church, their only church. And I get that. I respect it. I embraced that way of thinking for many years myself. And there's a lot of wisdom in that way of thinking. I mean, wouldn't it be wonderful to worship surrounded by the raw beauty of the earth every week? Even in our own peace garden, just having that one extra barrier removed would have enhanced our worship considerably. But let's look around us for a moment. Go ahead, look around. Do you see it? Even with our walls, we are still surrounded by raw beauty. Our worship is still enhanced. We have a beautiful sanctuary. We are with our friends and our neighbors. It is safe here, and it is indeed beautiful. I look into your eyes, and it's beautiful. I listen to the notes coming from the piano, and it is beautiful. The earth is my church, but so is my church, including the building and my people. In fact, wherever I go, I am surrounded by my church, and it is all beautiful. But we are, by our very nature, a species who divides and labels everything into categories such as good and bad, wicked and righteous, pure and impure, spiritual and material, and sacred and profane, leading us to believe the spiritual aspects of life are sacred, but the material aspects are profane. And I do believe that that is, at least in part, the reason that the heart of humanity seems to be so hard. I think it's a big part of the reason why we are so divided. Because the earth itself is ultimately material, which lands it squarely in the category of profane. It lands all of creation, in fact, in the category of profane, and that's just not a very hopeful place to be. And the church has not helped much by fixating on the notion that life on this planet is something to be endured until we die, which is when the really good stuff starts to happen. But categorizing things into sacred and profane is not what Christianity is about. And it is most certainly not what Jesus was about. Jesus showed us how to free ourselves from the divisions that have preoccupied so much of our thinking about life. He opened us to a sense of the sacred in all of life, including each other. He showed us how to see the holy and the ordinary, because he knew how differently things would look if we could but see that all of earth and all of earth's creatures are sacred. He showed us how we are all intimately connected to the planet and to one another, and most definitely to our God. Whether you can see it or not, every single aspect of creation is sacred, because our God, who is the ground of our being, lives and breathes in, with, and through it all. I don't know how to bring about a collective change of heart. All I know is how to have an individual one. And I know that if you get enough of those together, then that can cause a collective one. Is the church even helpful to the discussion anymore? Well, if not the church, then who? We are the church, and Jesus showed us that every bush burns with the possibility of an encounter with the divine, that all ground is holy ground, and that when we begin to see the material as sacred and the sacred as material, we begin to see individual lives as sacred, leading us to a change of heart. We are the church, so it is up to us to look at all the wonders that surround us and live fully and deeply, demonstrating that together we are more than the sum of our parts. Live fully and deeply, trusting that in God we live, move, and have our being together with all of the creatures in this world that God so dearly loves. We are the church. We have the power to change our own hearts. And if you get enough of those together, it can lead to a collective change of heart. I would like to close this morning with another psalm. It's not one that you will find in the Holy Bible, but I think you will like it all the same. It's called A Psalm for Creating Sacred Wind. O winds of this planet Earth, you are the children of the sun's passion. As the heat of our day star strikes the equator of our small planet, warm air rises up and peels backward, spiraling toward the two polar regions, swirling northward and southward. They become the air currents of North America and the winds of the outback in Australia. Children of the sun's fire, offspring of the uneven heating of our planet's atmosphere, let me learn your secret, unless my prayers possess a hot equator, a great devotion in my love for God, unless there is a passion in my love for my work, my hopes and dreams, as well as for all those I hold dear. How can I expect to give rise to the sacred wind in my life? May I practice the secrets of the four winds and intensify my love for life, for the literature and art of ages past, for music, dance, food, and drink, for my family and friends, and for all that comes my way. For only by such an overflow of passion shall I feel the romance of the Spirit, heaven's wind of fire, filling my love for you, my beloved. Amen.
Amen.